Well, thank you so much for joining my session today. I'm going to be talking to you about how to take advantage of opportunities with your business to tap into the boomer marketplace. And baby boomers are the largest, most affluent generational segment of pet lovers in our country today. A little bit about myself. I'm Kristen Levine, and I've been in the pet industry for about 25 years now. The best way I can describe what I do is I help pets and people live their best lives together. And I do that both by working directly with pet parents to educate them and find resources and solutions, and also by working with pet companies who are marketing their products and services to the pet owner. I'm the president and founder of Fetching Communications, which is the world's first marketing and PR agency to dedicate itself exclusively to the pet and veterinary marketplace. And we are celebrating our 10th anniversary this year, so we're very excited about that. Thank you. We work with both veterinary and pet product companies. So our typical clients are veterinary specialty practices, veterinary colleges, suppliers, and on the pet side, we work with pet product manufacturers, service providers, retailers, and so on. Earlier this year, I acquired PetPR.com, which, if you're familiar with PetPR.com, it was actually launched a couple of years ago by Mass Media, and it's a news distribution service for the pet industry. So think of it like PR Web for pet news. And I'm going to tell you a little bit later in my presentation about how you can tap into some free opportunities with PetPR.com. But where I spend most of my time these days in my career is being a pet lifestyle spokesperson. And I'm working with companies like Bissell and HSN, which is Home Shopping, and Comcast to help them develop their authentic pet parent voice to connect their brand to the consumer. And in the past, I'd say probably 12 to 15 months, I've kind of pivoted my focus as a pet lifestyle expert. And that pivot is to focus on the 50-plus marketplace. So that includes baby boomers, seniors, and caregivers. And caregivers can be really anybody, but primarily caregivers are age 40 and up. They're caring for either elderly parents or spouse. So this is my dad and this is my mom, and I'm going to tell you why I have their pictures up here. They're both boomers. I lost my dad on March 14th this year, and he was only 67, and those are his dogs, Daisy and Bear, and those dogs really changed his life. My dad and mom split up back in the 80s, and my dad was a very hard worker. He was an entrepreneur. He was kind of antisocial and a bachelor, so about 12 years ago, my husband and I went on a vacation, and my dad came and pet sat for our two Labradors. And he spent about 10 days with Buck and Zeke. And he did some crazy things with them. He had a really good time. And as a result, when he flew back home to, he was living near Las Vegas, he adopted Daisy and Bear from the Las Vegas Humane Society. And those dogs really changed his life. They kept him more physically active, more socially active. They gave him something to take care of and something to be responsible for besides himself. So one of the ways that me and my family have kind of are healing from his rather unexpected loss at a young age is just knowing how important Daisy and Bear were to his life. And Bear is actually still with us. He's 13 and he lives with my sister in Colorado, and he's a real joy. My mom, on the other hand, a little bit brighter story. My mom is doing great. She's happy and healthy, and this is her little 16-year-old Shih Tzu named Stosh. And my mom has been through a lot of adversity in the past 5 years. And she lost her husband, my stepfather, a year ago to pancreatic cancer. And prior to that, he battled esophageal cancer. And so my mom had a very difficult time for a period of about 3 years. And they lived very far away from any family, so it was hard for us to be there when she needed us the most, at least as often as we wanted to be. So she credits little Stosh for helping her get through the most traumatic time in her life. And Mom's doing great now. She lives in Colorado near my sister and her boys, and Stash is happy and making new friends. So the reason that I am really focused on the boomer and senior marketplace now, and the reason I want to share what I know with you all, is because I truly believe that at age 50 plus, we live better, healthier, happier lives with animals. And that can be said of any time in our lives. But I think in particular, in this so-called third stage of life, because we tap into benefits that pets offer us that we haven't needed before or we haven't noticed before. They help us enjoy life more. They help us cope with stress and illness and tragedy. And so it's for that reason that, boomers are really relevant in my life, and I'm sure they're relevant in your lives too. Some of you probably are boomers, or you have boomers that are important to you, and I want to help you help them live better lives with their pets. So basically, boomers need pets, pets need boomers, and we in the pet industry need both of them. So today what I'm going to help you do is develop a plan. We're going to talk about a process for putting a boomer engagement plan together. How many of you have a marketing plan that's specific to the 50 plus marketplace? How many? Okay, good, great. How many of you think you should? Okay, even better. And how many of you really aren't sure? Does anybody have a product or service that really can't help anybody 50 plus with a pet? Okay, great. All right, so you're all in the right place. When you leave this session today, we are going to have walked through a 3-step plan to develop your strategic plan to reach boomers. We're also going to, I'm going to share with you 10 different content marketing tips that you can put to use with your strategic plan. And I've also got a couple of goodies to leave you with as well, which include some free news posting opportunities and a baby boomer media list that will be really valuable to you. So I think the planning process is probably the most daunting for us, especially when we're deciding to do something new. It's like, got to start from scratch, start from the beginning. It's going to take a lot of time. We procrastinate, but it really doesn't have to be that difficult. I've simplified it into 3 steps. We first need to decide if this is a marketplace we want to be in. Secondly, if we decide yes, we need to adopt a boomer initiative. We need to figure out how are we going to be relevant to this lifestyle group. And thirdly, this is the fun part, when we actually pull the trigger and we get to engage with our new audience. Now, to help you decide, you really have to understand the opportunity. And I'm sure a lot of you already, I was just talking to you, Lauren, about that there's opportunity in the boomer marketplace, but there's a few things that you're not sure about. Is it worth your time and energy and resources to shift some of your marketing efforts to this demographic? So I'm going to help you decide by explaining a bit about the market opportunity. By the way, do we have any baby boomers in the audience? Okay, all right, great. So we're talking about you guys. And I'd be interested to know if you agree or disagree with some of the things that we're going to share today. All right, so this is a group that was born between 1946 and 64. So they are between the ages approximately of 50 and 68 right now. There's 80 million of them. They have tremendous spending power. They are responsible for about 70% of the US net worth, and they have power over $2.5 million in spending. A third of them are shopping online and spent about $7 billion last year. And 2/3 of them, in I think it was Media Horizons survey, 2/3 of the boomers said that they plan on spending more money next year on things that interest them. And hobbies and pets are included in their interests and hobbies. So the boomer generation grew up with Lassie. And I really believe that the boomers are personally responsible for bringing the pets from the backyard to the bedroom. So let's give them a big hand for that. Lassie, I think it was first the book, and then the movie, and then the series, and so on and so forth. I can remember, when I was really little, when I go visit my grandparents, all the dogs lived in the backyard in a doghouse, and I hated that. I just hated that. Baby boomers, you've heard me talk about them being the most affluent segment. That's no question about that. But they're also among the largest growing segment of pet parents. Unfortunately, we're not adding a lot of pet households in our country right now. It's just that the people who have pets are spending a little bit more every year. So that's why we see the spending going up. However, there are 3 areas that are growing. That's the baby boomers are adopting more pets or obtaining more pets. Singles are obtaining more pets, and men are obtaining more pets. I thought that was kind of interesting. And the really cool thing for us is that a lot of pet product innovations and trends mirror baby boomer interests and trends. So the trick is to kind of figure out how your product or service is relatable to what interests the baby boomer marketplace. Vibrant Nation is it's a 45 plus media platform, and they did a survey of female pet owners about maybe 6 months ago, and they found that boomer women are outspending the younger generations. About 3/4 of them said that they spend at least $50 a month on pet supplies and products, which is higher than the national average. 100% of women surveyed between the ages of 45 and 65 said they consider their pets to be family. And I don't find that terribly surprising, except that when you look at the national statistics, it's more like 85% of people say that. So these women get it. These are our people. And obviously pets contribute to longevity, but a few other things I wanted to add about boomers are that they know how to make money and spend money. And they are obviously, many of them are empty nesters. Some of them are caught in the sandwich generation, where they are not only caring for elderly parents, but they're also caring for kids who maybe are out of college and haven't found jobs yet. Oh, okay, we have some of you are here. They want companionship, they need stress relief, and pets all contribute to those things that they need. They also love brands that are made in the USA, and they love brands and companies that have charitable affiliations. So, hopefully I've given you enough information, or a little bit more information about this marketplace to help you decide if you like this market. And do you need or want this market to grow your business? And most importantly, if you're answering yes to those 2 questions, do you have the resources and the budget and the time to perhaps divert some of your other marketing initiatives that are maybe more broad-based to the boomer marketplace? So if you're a solopreneur and you're doing it all, this is a tough question. If you have a team or if you have a marketing department, it might be a little bit easier for you. So if you decided yes, you can stay in the room. If you're not sure, stay in the room. If you decided no, you're free to go, but I hope you'll stay. We're going to adopt a pet initiative now to engage with the boomers. And in order to do that, as I said a few minutes ago, you've got to be relevant to this lifestyle. You've got to know your audience, which we talked a lot about last night on the expert panel. And I know several of you are boomers, and so you know who you are, you know your people, but I think I'm going to share some additional information with you today about how boomers are making spending decisions that will help you engage better with them. You also have to know where to connect with them. Where are you guys? Where are you boomers hanging out? How are we going to tap into your world? So this is the generation of Beatlemania, bell-bottoms, Woodstock. This group of folks doesn't do anything like their parents did. They're really trendsetters. As Yogi Bear would say, they are not your average bear when it comes to being consumers. A few examples here. They lived through Woodstock. They marched for equal rights. They rallied for peace. They entered college in droves. They moved to the suburbs. Ironically now, they're moving away from the suburbs. And for boomer women, they were the first group of women to fight against the corporate glass ceiling. They had fewer children than their parents had, and they bought minivans, and they made exercise and leg warmers cool. So, you know how they have those Christmas sweater parties where you wear like the most hideous Christmas sweater? I think it would be so cool to have like a leg warmer party. Because I actually I have leg warmers, but I'm afraid to wear them anywhere. I'm going to get laughed at. But they found better ways to do things. You're not going to find boomers in a bingo hall. And you're more likely to find them in a tattoo parlor or riding a Harley. They really are. They've got their own minds. Now, they're still powering trends, and this is what we need to know about. The top 4 trends, and this is based upon studies and surveys that AARP does. The top 4 interests that boomers have are travel, health and wellness, relationships, and home life. And the reason they're traveling, and they love to travel, is because they have more time. Some of them aren't working anymore, or they're working less or working less hard, and they've always wanted to go here or there, and now they can finally do that. Obviously, health and wellness is critically important to them. They're more focused on their health, their diet, their medications, their supplements, and this makes them really great candidates for doing the same with their pets. So for those of you, and I know there's a lot of folks here that have products and services that benefit pets' health and wellness. Relationships, interestingly, the divorce rate among boomers is 50%. And as Michael, have any of you ever heard Michael Johnson from Chuck Latham and Associates talk about the pet industry? Yeah, he's awesome. And he's really funny too. He says that boomers invented divorce. Because before the boomer generation, I think the divorce rate was something like 9%, and the boomer divorce rate is 50%. So a lot of boomers are single and they're dating. And they're, as I said, a lot of them are moving back. They're moving out of the suburbs into more vibrant communities, into more cities. They're really focused on their home. They love do-it-yourself projects. They like to learn how to do things. And so this is a great opportunity for a lot of the new pet products that are coming along that help you manage pet care at home better. They have a lot of other interests that may or may not be relevant to your business, but here are some of them. Interestingly, I thought this was a really interesting study. I read that that empathy peaks in women in their 50s. So for those of you who work with shelters or rescues or have charitable affiliations that are incorporated into your business, this is a really great segment for you. Okay, so in the 1950s and 60s, this is what women in their 50s and 60s looked like. Did you recognize your grandmother or your, I have family photos that look just like this one. And that says, I think it says 1958. And this is what they look like now. We look good. And everybody's asking me, is this real? I think it is. I think that is real.
Was she the 60-year-old woman that?
I think so. I think so. So we look great. We feel great. Thank goodness. We've come a long way. All right, communicating with boomers. This is really important because you can alienate you can alienate anybody 50 plus very easily by making them feel old because they don't think they're old. They're not old. But the other interesting thing about this demographic is when we talk about age 50 plus, we tend to break it down into baby boomers and then senior citizens. Well, among those two groups, you have people that are at the peak of their careers, you have people that are starting new businesses, you have people that are still parenting, you have people that are battling illnesses, you have people that are retired, living active lifestyles, and you have people that are caring for elderly parents. You have probably a couple of dozen other types of groups within those two groups. So the best way to market to them is to treat them just like people and to speak to them just like what they are. They're pet parents, they're pet lovers, they're travel enthusiasts, they're triathletes, whatever they are, that's, their age. They don't want to be reminded of their age. So we don't need to really talk about that. It's just important to know what not to say to them and know where to be to reach them. So obviously you don't want to talk down to them. Unless you're talking to a World War II veteran, you probably don't want to call them a senior citizen. Be authentic in your marketing materials. So I think you want to use images of vibrant boomers that look great, feel great. And the best example I can think of is those Cialis commercials. I crack up every time I see them, with the music. And these people look good. They look good. They're dressed nicely. The guy drives a cool pickup truck, and they want to get it on. And so that's portraying boomers in a very positive light. All right, you also want to stick to the facts and avoid hype because they don't like to be sold to. They've also seen it all and done it all and heard it all, so they would rather you provide them with the information they need to make a decision. You have to win boomers and older people over gradually. I think I can't remember which session it was yesterday, but somebody said that your customer has to first know you, and then they have to like you, and then they have to trust you. And I think that is most important with the boomer generation. Trust is a very big factor. So understand that you're going to win them over gradually. And give them content. We're going to talk a little bit more about content in a second, but they love to research. My husband is a perfect example of this. He's a boomer, and we bought a new camera 2 weeks ago, and the man spent like 2 weeks researching which camera we should buy. And he even prints out like the stuff and reads it and highlights it. But boomers really do like to do the research, and they really appreciate content. Okay, so where do we find the boomers? Well, according to AARP's Thought Leadership Committee, they are where most of us are, and that is online. Almost 80% of people 50 plus are online in some way, shape, or form. Half of them have interacted with a brand online, and interestingly, 98% of them say they'd rather deal with a brand's or get their information from a brand's website than from their social media. And I think that's because they tend to use social media for social purposes, and they want to find out how their kids and grandkids and their friends and family are doing, where their college sweetheart is or whatever. But interestingly, 53% of them are on Facebook. So I'm not so sure I would agree entirely with the fact that they're not going to engage with the brand on social media. A third of the tablets are owned by boomers or seniors. And obviously, tablets are replacing print media. Everything's going mobile. Mobile, mobile, mobile. I was just telling a story about my mom, who's 67, and after she moved to Colorado, I gave her my first generation iPad because I'd bought a new one. And she's like, "Oh, honey, I don't need that. I don't know how to work it. I'm never going to figure it out." And P.S., she is obsessed with it. And she came and pet sat for us a couple months ago when we were on vacation, and she left her iPad at my house and she flew home to Colorado. And I get this phone call, this like urgent, frantic phone call that, "Oh my gosh, I left my iPad at your house and I can't pay my bills, I can't do anything." And so I had to overnight her iPad to her. So, and my mom is extremely non-tech savvy, so I'm really proud of her. And I think that a lot of the younger generations can help the boomers and seniors adapt to technology because, if they want to get in touch with us, like that's where we are. And also boomers are less likely to see price as a reason not to buy a tablet. So I think we're going to see those numbers really increase quite a bit. What other media are boomers using? They're still reading newspapers. About 50% of them still read the newspaper. About 60% are still reading print magazines. 36% own smartphones. A third of them consider themselves heavy internet users. And 92% of them use email. And like I said, 53% of them are on Facebook, including my mom. Okay, so we have decided we want to market to the boomers. We've decided that they can help us grow our business. We have figured out, we've gotten inside their heads a little bit. We know where they are. We know how to talk to them. Now it's time to engage with the boomers. And we're going to focus on content. And certainly there are a lot of other marketing, traditional marketing ways that we can interact with them. But we're going to focus on content because of some of these reasons here. A lot of marketing dollars are shifting to digital. content is cost effective and it's repurposable. This presentation I'm doing today is going to end up being about 6 or 8 blog posts and probably 30 social media posts linking back to the blog posts. So content, content, content. It also will grow your search engine optimization. And as I mentioned last night on the panel, according to Tron Brand Energy, a third of pet parents are saying that they're spending 30 minutes or more every week researching online about pet health and wellness. Another third of them say they're online for less than 30 minutes. So really, there's only about 40% of pet parents that aren't looking for your content. Also, it allows you to become a valued resource, build loyalty, build trust, and again, with the tablet adoption, the smartphone adoption, content is very readily available to those who are using those things. Okay, so these are my 10 tips that I'm going to give you. These are 10 different tactics you can use to develop content to market to boomers. And I've broken it into 3 categories: blogs, news, and social media. So first of all, you can, either you or someone in your company, whoever is considered an expert in your company, or maybe you hire an expert, like maybe you hire a veterinarian to be a spokesperson, whoever that expert is on behalf of your company can blog as a pet expert on a boomer platform. And I'm going to give you a list of 20, it was the top 25, but we added 2 more, so it's the top 27 boomer blogs and media platforms that you can research and figure out which ones you think resonate best with your business. I attended 2 boomer marketing conferences this year, one in March and one in June. And my goal personally was to land 3 blogging opportunities for boomer platforms. And I didn't think it would be that easy, but I actually have now committed to blogging for 6, and trying to figure out how I'm going to manage that. But the reason is because they want content too. And they know that boomers are pet lovers, and they are looking for pet experts. You can also, the second tip I have for you is to use boomers as beta testers or guest bloggers for new products that you have or new services that you're launching. And you can, one of our clients, PetSafe, does this, not with boomers, but just with pet parents in general. You can recruit a handful of baby boomers to utilize your product and to give you feedback on what they think of it and how it helps them solve a problem in their lifestyle, or how it helps them enjoy their pet relationship more. Get their feedback, and if it's positive feedback, you can get their permission to publish that. Or maybe they will write a blog post for you. And if you get negative feedback or they have suggestions for you, that's valuable too. That helps you refine your product and your message to resonate more with the boomer lifestyle. You can also, how many of you solicit product reviews from bloggers? Few of you, right, okay. Well, why not, I mean, there's a lot of great pet bloggers. Why not tap into the ones that are boomers themselves and ask them, hey, you know what? I'd really like you to review this product based upon your lifestyle as a baby boomer. And, bloggers love to be special, so you can kind of give them an exclusive, This is just an example of Next Avenue is one of my favorite boomer media platforms. They have affiliations with PBS, Huffington Post, and quite a few others. And I am their first pet expert, pet lifestyle expert. But they're looking for content. They're looking for all kinds of experts within the pet industry and in other areas of interest to boomers. So the second category of tips, so this is 4, 5, and 6, all has to do with news. Let me see how we're doing on time. Okay. Does anybody know what an editorial calendar is? How many of you are using editorial calendars? This is, okay, so in the marketing PR world, we live and die by editorial calendars. And basically, I've got an example here, and I know you can't read it, and I'm sorry. This is actually one of our client editorial calendars. But what you can do is, what you can't see is across the top are the dates. So like this might be August, September, October. And over here, you put your target audience. So let's say that up here is, pet owners, general, and baby boomers here. And you can scope out your baby boomer media segment to what you want to talk about, what you want to talk to the boomers about and when. And at our companies, we use these a lot, and we have different tabs. We'll have a tab for our blogs, we'll have a tab for our media outreach, and we'll have a tab for social media. So it can all be one place, and it can all kind of, bleed into each other in terms of the topic matter. But what this does is it helps you manage your content, and if you scope this out for 3, 6, or 12 months at a time, it's a lot easier to just pull up your editorial calendar and figure out what your key topic is, what you want to talk to boomers about that month. Oops, go backwards. Also, share your company's news that's relevant to the 50-plus market. So don't just share your company's news with the pet industry or with your local media if you have a local business. Share it with the boomer media as well. So if you have already kind of figured out how your products or services are relevant to their lifestyle, you can develop news around that. Maybe there's this particular trend that's happening. Maybe Europeans are traveling overseas. Maybe boomers are traveling overseas more than they have in the past, and they're taking their pets with them. I'm making this up. I don't know that to be true. But, and you make a travel product. How can you tie into your product into that trend? How does your product help boomers that are doing more travel overseas more friendly? And then the third news tip is that you can post your company's news to petpr.com's newsroom for free. And I'm going backwards. This is an example of the newsroom. And as you can see, we have all kinds, big companies, small companies, all the in-between companies, WIPIN. You can upload news for free. And you can also use this as a resource to distribute your news to journalists who are covering pet issues. And we're going to be offering a 20% discount to all WIPIN members that attended this conference through September 30th. And finally, social media. So 7, 8, 9, and 10 have to do with social media. Repurpose your blogs and your news and your videos and your images, everything that you're doing in terms of marketing, you can repurpose as social media posts. And it kind of takes you back to that editorial calendar that we spoke about. You can start off on your news tab and your media outreach tab, and then kind of duplicate that same message for your social media posts, for your blog posts, etc. How many of you have a company Facebook page? Awesome. Okay, great. Well, the largest growing segment of Facebook users is boomer women. And so this is a really great way to communicate with them. You can even create a custom tab on your Facebook page that's just for the boomer generation. Maybe just has topics or leads them to blog posts that have relevant information for them. And number 9 is to create a short and sweet edutainment video. So this is education and entertainment together. Boomers love video. Actually, one of my our social media guru at Fetching emailed me this late last night, so I didn't have time to incorporate it into the presentation. But it says that 1 in 5 digital video viewers today is a baby boomer. And according to Nielsen, in addition to watching more television per week than any other age group, boomers are now viewing nearly 3 hours of mobile video every month. And I thought this was interesting. Boomers who grew up with television are more patient with video advertising and more willing to watch an entire spot than younger generations who navigate away as quickly as possible. So boomers love video. And finally, diversify those social media posts. So when you're posting to your Facebook page, when you're creating those posts ahead of time, if you do that, you're not just talking to a pet parent audience in general. You can talk to individual groups. And maybe if you're talking to boomers specifically, one of your younger followers might share that with their mom. You can speak to men specifically. Your followers might share that with the men in their life. So don't be afraid to diversify your posts to appeal to a wide range of pet parents. So speaking of social media, last week I went to my Facebook page and I said I'm doing this presentation next week and I'd really love to hear from anybody 50 plus about what their pet means to them. And I thought I would share, I think there's 6 of them, little testimonials, heartfelt testimonials from people This woman's 92 years old. Can you read that in the back, or should I read it? I'll let you read it. This is my mom. This guy was recently divorced. This guy has a business that is pet friendly. He allows all of his employees to bring their dogs to work. So boomers need pets. Do you need boomers? And if so, what is your plan? So what I'm leaving you with today is, as we've been through this presentation, is the 3-step planning process, which is first to decide, then to adopt a boomer initiative, and then to engage with them. And this is really good timing because it's almost the end of August. We really should start to think about 2014 right now if you haven't already. So this isn't something you have to race back and do today or next week or what have you. Although I really like that idea of who was the person that said that they implement a good idea within 2 weeks. Yeah, and I find that when I get back from a conference, like there's always a few things I jump on right away, and then everything else kind of like, I'm still trying to follow up with global pet. So you've got this 3-step plan. You've got the 10 tips on ways to engage through content. The Boomer Online Media blog list I'm going to make available on the Facebook page for WIPIN members. And I also, like I said, if you want to drop your business card in here, I'll have it emailed to you on Monday. UsePetPR.com is a free resource to upload your news, increase your search engine optimization, use it to link back to your news online on your social media posts. And as I said, we're offering a 20% discount for those of you who would like to use PetPR.com to distribute your news to journalists, directly to journalists' inboxes. And that concludes the presentation. So thank you.